Let's talk about delusion, grift, and the kind of entitlement that only comes from never being told no. First, Trump grading himself in the most Trump way possible. Then we've got another billionaire telling us how to raise small humans. And rounding it all out, two moments from the two worst people on the planet, Stephen Little Bitch Miller and Katie Miller. And real quick, I am Lauren Paritra. Hit subscribe, hit that notification bell because it takes all of us to call out this nonsense.
But I do want to talk about the economy, sir, here at home. And I wonder what grade you would give your economy. A plus.
Yeah, A plus, 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 plus.
Well, it's interesting.
A plus, 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 plus. 5 pluses. He is speaking the way I type when I get crumbs stuck in my keyboard, just like mashing on the same key over and over again, hoping something comes out. Somebody needs to tell him that this isn't Trump University and that Pam Bondi can't bail him out of this one. This is a man who genuinely believes he's operating on a grading scale that goes beyond A+. This is what happens when you surround yourself with people who are contractually obligated to clap, and all with a straight face. That's just really something. And then we have Sam Altman on Jimmy Fallon talking about using ChatGPT to raise his baby.
And do you use ChatGPT when raising your baby?
I do. I mean, I feel kind of bad about it because we have this like genius level at everything, intelligence, sitting there like waiting to unravel the mysteries of humanity. And I'm like, why does my kid stop dropping his pizza on the floor and laughing? Like,
Yeah.
You know?
And
so I feel like I'm not asking a good enough question, but it is, I cannot imagine having gone through the, like figuring out how to raise a newborn without ChatGPT. Clearly people did it for a long time, no problem.
Yes.
But
For those unfamiliar, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, he was previously the president of Y Combinator, a startup accelerator kind of fratty program where he spent years funding other bros tech companies and cultivating the art of the pitch. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly more, depending on how you value his stake in various AI ventures. And he's a gay man married to another man, which is only worth mentioning because he's out here acting like he's doing all the heavy lifting of newborn care. And statistically, in any partnership, somebody is doing more of the actual work. And I'm willing to bet it's not the guy on Jimmy Fallon's couch. So when Jimmy asks if he's using ChatGPT when raising his baby, and Altman says, I can't imagine figuring out how to raise a newborn without ChatGPT, I say, sure, Sam Altman uses ChatGPT to raise his baby, because when I think of nurturing a tiny human, my first thought is, quick, let me get AI to handle the emotional bonding. Let's do some sleep training and teach them to say thank you. Honestly, who needs grandparents or actual community or any sort of human connection or paid family leave when you've got API subscriptions that will make this man richer at the expense of all of our rainforests and our futures on this planet? You're not raising your fucking baby, Sam Altman. Give me a break. Somehow, humans have been able to do this since the dawn of time, and most of them were not even billionaires. My first thought with this was he's going straight for the mom market because my marketing brain knows that that's where the money is. Parenting is a multi-billion-dollar industry built entirely on fear and insecurity. Blogger moms were the pioneers. Instagram influencers, subscription boxes, apps that track every diaper change like it's some sort of portfolio. You sell that to parents and you sell them the idea that they're doing everything wrong. You shame them and then you give them a solution. Altman knows this. He's not stupid. He's just pretending he's actually parenting. And the thing is, it's working. Parents are exhausted. Parents are overwhelmed and desperate for anything that makes them feel like they're not failing. So here comes Sam with this billion-dollar chatbot acting like he's some sort of revolutionary dad because he asked a computer to do what to do if your kid has a fever. Oh, and let's talk about what it takes to run ChatGPT. These AI models require massive data centers that consume ungodly amounts of energy and water. We're talking about server farms that guzzle electricity like it's happy hour, and they drain local water supplies to keep these machines cool. The environmental cost is staggering. ChatGPT is essentially powered by destroying our rainforests and burning through resources at a rate that would make an oil executive blush. So Sam Altman is out here telling parents that they need to raise their kids with chatbots while his product is actively contributing to the climate crisis that those kids are going to inherit. Great plan. And on that note, on the note of burning hell, Stephen Little Bitch Miller opened his little bitchy mouth again.
If Libya keeps failing, if the Central African Republic keeps failing, if Somalia keeps failing, right? If these societies all over the world continue to fail, you have to ask yourself, if you bring those societies into our country and then give them unlimited free welfare, what do we think is going to happen? You're going to replicate the conditions that they left over and over and over again. And we mask the impact of immigration in every public policy issue we discuss.
He's talking about Somalia and failing societies and welfare. He says if these societies all over the world continue to fail and you bring these societies into our country and you give them unlimited free welfare, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to replicate the conditions they left. Okay, let's start with the obvious. Welfare isn't free. We all pay into taxes. If they're citizens, they deserve it just as much as you do. Miller talks about unlimited free welfare, like immigrants are lounging by a pool somewhere. The reality is immigrants, including refugees, use welfare at significantly lower rates than native-born Americans. Studies show that first-generation immigrants use fewer public benefits and contribute more in taxes than they receive. Somali refugees specifically have high workforce participation rates. They're working, they're paying into taxes, they're starting businesses. And here's the fact you won't hear from Stephen Little Bitch Miller. Somalia's instability isn't some inherent cultural failure. It's the result of colonialism, Cold War proxy conflicts, foreign intervention, and decades of civil war funded by external powers. People aren't fleeing failed societies. They're fleeing the aftermath of being used as a geopolitical chessboard. But Stephen Little Bitch Miller doesn't care about facts. He hates Somalis. He hates Spanish-speaking people. He hates anyone who doesn't look like a country club brochure. Just say it, Stephen. You want this to be a white nationalist country. Stop pretending you're worried about policy when you're really just worried about demographics. And speaking of the worst people on the planet, who never doubt themselves, despite having every single freaking reason to, Katie Miller.
Doge was a made-up name that had been made up, I don't know, 2 or 3 months before. And based on internet suggestions. And I was going to call it the Government Efficiency Commission, and then someone on the internet said, no, it should be the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. I'm like, that sounds great. So we just kind of made up a department.
Do you think you were successful?
We're a little bit successful. We were somewhat successful. I mean, we stopped a lot of funding for that really just made no sense. That was just entirely wasteful. Where like, for example, there was probably 100, maybe $200 billion worth of zombie payments per year.
For background, she's married to Stephen Little Bitch Miller, and she left her full-time work for Elon Musk to launch a podcast aimed at conservative women, which she announced with a promo shoot in a rowdy-ass tank top. And now she's interviewing her former boss. In this clip, she's clutching onto those cue cards for life, in case she forgets what she was about to ask on her own show. And Musk says, we're a little bit successful. We're somewhat successful. We stopped funding a lot of things that made no sense. Let's talk about what he actually did. As head of Doge, Musk slashed funding for veteran services. He cut programs that helped low-income families across the country. He gutted programs that helped them access food. He gutted environmental protections, all while nobody elected him to do any of this. Nobody voted for him ever. And he just kind of made up a department, walked in and started cutting things he didn't understand because he thought it would be fun. This is a man who grew up with an emerald mine's worth of apartheid privilege, who has never experienced a consequence in his life. And he genuinely believes he's smarter than everyone else because he bought some companies with daddy's money and he got lucky with the timing. And this is the problem. This is why so many men grow up to be assholes and arrogant. They see Elon Musk and they think, oh, I can do that. He didn't even try. It's entitlement. They grow up believing the world owes them a platform. The world owes them a podcast and maybe even a department in the federal government. And they never doubt themselves because they've never had to. Meanwhile, women, we're over here triple checking emails before we even hit send. We're apologizing for asking questions that we're supposed to be asking, wondering if we're qualified to do the job we've been doing for 500 years. Maybe we need to learn a thing or two from these men who just never, ever doubt themselves. Or maybe we just need to stop giving them a fucking microphone. And if you agree, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hit it like you're hitting Stephen Little Marshmallow in the face. Because families belong together, immigrants pay taxes, and we'll be back with more.